As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
Easy one. Taylor Robinson, all-time NCAA 3-point leader, over 500 career threes. Just amazing. Pours it in nonstop, and she's not done yet. She's going to hit a ton more this season because they fired the three. Really, really cool, which is awesome. In a very short span, Oklahoma, in a calendar year, we've had the all-time women's home run champion, and which I know we had it before, but still to break that, and now the all-time NCAA 3-point leader, that's pretty cool. Women's athletics at OU has it going right now.
It absolutely does. Could you imagine hitting like 500 threes like Taylor Robertson has?
No, I think I've hit between 15 and 20 for my entire life, and that's counting practice.
I mean, she can absolutely fill it up. I won't lie, didn't love that she rocked the Steph Curry jersey at the Thunder game.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
I get it. He's the best shooter ever. And just so you know, we're going to talk about that game and my winners and losers because I just do not understand something that happens when they come to town. But I'm not going to get too worked up about it because I get it. She's the best 3-point shooter ever in women's college basketball. He's the best 3-point shooter ever at any level of basketball. I get it. But
it's cool of him to
recognize
that and do that, but it's weird at the same time. He's like coming into our territory, but I guess he's earned that right. What are you going to say?
Yeah. It's cool. I'm just, I'm going to say it's cool. But that woman can shoot the three now.
There's no doubt about that.
I mean, she can absolutely fill it up. And, Jenny Baranczyk, Texas game didn't go particularly well, but still seems like they're putting together a nice season, going to be a tournament team. Be interesting to see if they can make a run. But anytime your team's setting records, it's a good thing, man.
Yeah. And I do think they will be able to make a run as good as they are offensively. Right. Whenever you can score, you got the best 3-point shooter of all time. You get into tournament type of play, that's going to help you a ton.
Yeah. All right. Who do you have as your loser of the week?
Maybe this is, I may be on a one-man island on this thing, but it's the Denver Broncos. I know they get Sean Payton, and Sean Payton has clearly been an excellent coach. He's got the credentials. He's coming into the locker room, and what he's accomplished gives him a little bit more command. You look at the Hackett situation, never been a head coach before, comes in, and as things start to fall apart, everyone can kind of question things pretty quickly. Sean Payton's going to be able to hold the locker room for a longer duration if they get off to a rocky start, right? It's less of a way to just have it easy to point the finger at one person. But they're giving up another first-round pick, giving up another second-round pick. They've got to pay. I don't know what's the payout. Was there the buyout too? Anyways, there's rumors that he's going to make like $20 million. It's a ton of money, and they're giving up picks. I feel like the Broncos are approaching this thing in the total wrong way by giving a ton of money and trading a ton of draft picks away for Russell Wilson. And now you're going to do the same thing for a coach. And let's be honest, okay? Again, Sean Payton has been great, but he had Drew Brees, okay? So the jury's out on whether it was Sean Payton or was it Drew Brees. I mean, I don't know. I think the Broncos are going about this thing the wrong way. They need to be stacking picks and developing their roster the organic way instead of paying a ridiculous amount of money and resources for two people. That's just my take.
I'm not overly concerned about the new ownership group for the Broncos.
Deep pockets.
One of the richest people in the world.
Right.
Right. So they're going to pay Sean Payton whatever and be like, fine, we don't care. But one of these things that I keep seeing is like, oh, well, they're willing to spend. Guys, that's great. This is not the NBA. This isn't baseball. There's a salary cap, a true salary cap. There's no luxury tax and all that. Like, so even if they're willing to spend, you can only do so much through free agency.
They're willing to spend the same exact amount as everyone else. And unfortunately, most of that's already been allocated to one guy who just had the worst season of his entire career.
So if you're the Broncos, I'm assuming you're hoping that Sean Payton can do exactly what he did with Drew Brees with that offense, right? With Russell Wilson. Like that he can come in and fix Russell Wilson. But the defense was solid, right? Rock solid.
Yep.
So I can understand them going, okay, hey, Sean Payton, he's coming in and just got to fix this offense. The defense is good, like all that. We'll see what it looks like. But to me, I just don't understand it from Sean Payton's standpoint. Because, and I don't know if he had the pick of any job that he wanted, but Denver is not the one I would have picked because you know who's in that division. Why would you willingly, if you had your choice, why would you willingly go into the division that Patrick Mahomes is in? Now, Justin Herbert's a different conversation, right? I just don't understand other than money. And maybe that's it. Like if you're,
it's a good enough reason.
Yeah, I suppose I'll do whatever for $20 million a year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But and I was only there for a short time, but I was with the Saints when Sean Payton was the head coach. And the guy is a super competitive guy. The guy loves winning just like anyone else that's a player or a coach, at the professional level. But it took a long time for him to develop what he did in New Orleans, and he was there for a very long time. But I don't understand picking Denver with some of the other quarterbacks that are in that league. Maybe you think, hey, I'm a better coach than those guys. Maybe you think he's a better coach than Andy Reid. Maybe thinks he's a better coach than Staley. I don't know. But it's an interesting choice, man. And it feels like it was money driven. But I mean, who wouldn't be the first person to make a life choice over money? So it was a strange choice to me. Though, like I look at Carolina and maybe the Saints weren't having that, right? Hey, no, you're not coming back in our division. I can understand that from New Orleans' perspective, but
well, here's the part of it is who else was willing to give up what you have to give up in order to get him? It's not like signing any other coach. Denver had to give up a first-round pick, which they absolutely cannot afford to give up, and a second-round pick, which they absolutely can't afford to give up. They don't have any picks. They don't have anything. So that's the interesting part about it. And like if they're throwing $20 million at you, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Russell Wilson is not Drew Brees. Drew Brees is a workaholic that the entire team adored, loved.
correct.
Russell Wilson is a guy, a weirdo that it feels like the entire team hates. That's not what you want as your quarterback, right? I don't know. And he's been guaranteed an insane, $165 million he has guaranteed. That makes people mad when you play the way Russell Wilson did last year.
That's how you end up with defensive tackles yelling in your starting quarterback's face.
Yes, that's right.
I'm interested. I'll say this. I'm interested to see if it works. It's certainly intriguing, but
sign me up for the soap opera.
From the amount of time I spent in a locker room with Drew Brees and just the things that I've heard about Russell Wilson over the years, very different discourse around those two men.
Yeah.
And Drew had a bit of the, like he had a little rah-rah to him, right? But it was nowhere near like Russell Wilson and whatever the hell that was this season. So I could see Sean Payton being like 2 weeks into OTAs in the quarterback meeting with Russell Wilson and just turning to me like, hey, man, please stop with all of this. Please just cut it out. Stop. Please. Like, I can see him losing it. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun storyline. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Well, it'll be fun to watch, and maybe Sean Payton can pull some magic. But like I feel like Denver has totally mortgaged their entire future on this. And if it works, great. That's awesome. But if it doesn't, and it's not going to because of the division that they're in. Like I don't know.
Good luck with the Chiefs. I will say this. New ownership group there in Denver. Walton family, right? Let's not forget, there's a team out in L.A., 2 years ago that won a Super Bowl with the F them picks mentality. Kroenke's married to a Walton.
That's true. True.
Maybe just a family strategy. Hey, we don't need to draft. We'll just fill the holes through free agency.
Maybe. Yeah, that is a good point.
I don't know.
They had a really good base to work from, though.
You look at the teams playing in the Super Bowl. Now you got to hit on quarterback clearly, right? That's most important. They're built through the draft, man.
Yep.
You look at Kansas City, you look at all the starting 22 and how many guys they drafted.
Mahomes gets a ton of credit, and like Kelsey gets a ton of credit, and those guys should. But that O-line and D-line from Kansas City, legit.
And the majority of them, they signed some guys in free agency, don't get me wrong, but the majority of them were drafted by Veach and developed there in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. And the same thing for Philadelphia. You look at that O-line. You look at the D-line. Now, you always have free agents that elevate your team, but got to draft well, man. I mean, you have to. And in order to draft well, you got to have picks. So
typically at the top of the draft.
I'm skeptical about how successful Sean Payton is going to be there in Denver, but hey, it's going to be fun to watch. All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first,
John Vance Auto Group has been serving Oklahomans for 40 years. They're family owned and operated, and they got 9 full service dealerships in Woodward, Miami, and Guthrie. No matter what your vehicle needs are, John Vance Auto Group has you covered. They carry domestic brands such as Ford, Lincoln, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and Wagoneer. John Vance Auto Group's goal is to give unequaled service and to exceed customers' expectations in every way, which is why they have their lifetime loyalty program. And here's how it works. You buy a new or used car from them, then all you have to do is get all the manufactured recommended maintenance done at the Vance dealership. And if something goes wrong with components of your engine, transmission, drive, axle, or transfer unit, they'll cover the repair costs. It's a great deal. You can browse their entire inventory or find the John Vance dealership near you at vanceautogroup.com.
And First Fidelity Bank is a full-service financial institution based in Oklahoma with tailored solutions for all your personal and business needs. Checking accounts, saving accounts, home loans, and much more. They do it all. Whether it's online banking from your computer or mobile banking from your phone, everything is stress-free with FFB. Making mobile deposits, paying bills online, and moving money to different accounts could not be easier. Make your life easier and go bank with First Fidelity Bank. Visit ffb.com for more information. All right, for my winner of the week, I thought about going with Tyler Huntley because anytime you throw for 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and somehow make a Pro Bowl, that's a win, baby. That's a win. People want to make it some big indictment on the Pro Bowl. I'm just happy for Tyler Huntley. That's awesome.
That's cool. Hey, you can say whatever you want about me, but I was a Pro Bowler, baby. That's good.
And my hope is that there's an incentive in his contract that no one ever thought would get triggered, like him making a Pro Bowl. I hope it results in a nice payday for our man Tyler Huntley as well. That's usually how it works.
And a kickback, for getting that Pro Bowl nod. That's awesome.
Yeah. But my winner of the week, I'm going with the Houston Texans because I think DeMeco Ryans is a hell of a hire. 38 years old. Dude was a stud at Bama. It was the first pick of the second round for the Texans. I mean, played in the league for a decade. And there's some conflicting reports, right, between when you look at what Ian Rappaport said and what Adam Schefter said when it comes to DeMeco Ryans being hired by Houston and then Sean Payton by Denver, like at the exact same time. I mean, Rappaport said that Denver wanted Ryans and he chose Houston instead. So that's a win for the Houston Texans, which you don't say very often for them as an organization. And now it probably has a lot to do with DeMeco Ryans playing 6 years there for the Texans. I'm not sure he made the smart decision choosing this as the franchise he wants to lead, but I'm interested to see if he can turn the Texans into something. We'll see. And yes, a few years back, he did sue the Houston Texans, which makes it very interesting as well. But I believe they ended up settling, right? Because he tore his Achilles in a game at NRG. And that was back then when they were, do you remember when they were doing that weird thing with the grass?
Yeah.
It was like they were growing it outside in like different patches and then like piecing it together inside the stadium. It was weird, but I believe he ended up settling with the turf company or something like that.
Did you ever play there? Have you played there?
I did not play there. I never played a game on that field, I don't think.
I played the Big 12 championship in 2002 there. And it was pretty recent after it had been built. I'm not sure what year it was built, but it was fairly recent. And the field it was grass, but like when you're running on it, you can almost like hear it below you. You know what I'm saying? It's like grass, but it's like going do 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 do. It was weird. It was not a normal grass field. And since it's on like they bring it in and it's on like it's got like I guess it's on like a smaller, it dries out really fast, so it turns rock hard. It was not good. Not a good surface.
They play on turf now, like artificial turf.
God, which think about how much money it cost them to do it the way they used to do it, instead of just putting $1 million turf field in and being done with it.
And think about how many knees it cost guys. Like, because the way I remember people talking about it, because they're obviously in the AFC South, and I was with the Titans. They'd just be like, dude, it kind of feels like there's holes in the field. And my initial reaction hearing that was like, how does that happen in the National Football League? Like, how could that be a thing?
Well, it was a thing in Philly forever, and finally, who was it that just walked off in the preseason game and said, we're not playing?
Yeah.
And that got them to change it.
Yeah, but hey.
So will lawsuits.
Yeah, they figured out their differences, apparently, DeMeco Ryans and the Texans, and this is the thing about him. He will immediately have the respect of every guy in that locker room. It's a guy that's done it as a player. He's risen quickly as a coach. You never really know if a guy's going to succeed as a head coach, right? Until he has to do it. But I would not bet against DeMeco Ryans getting the Houston Texans to the highest level we've seen him at. Because, hey, he had that 49ers defense, and I know he inherited it from Saleh, and I know he had a bunch of studs on that defense. But, I mean, that was arguably that was arguably the best defense in the league, and he was leading it. We'll see if the Texans end up drafting well, right? They've got the second pick of the draft, you would assume. They're going to try to get their quarterback of the future with that pick. They got to do some good things in free agency, but yeah, DeMeco Ryans seemed like he was the hottest name in the coaching carousel, and somehow, some way, the Houston Texans, who have had no organizational success, somehow they end up landing him. So that's a win for the city of Houston and for that franchise, no doubt.
I think it's big time. Now, please give him some support in free agency and the draft, and give him some time, right? Because that's the one bad thing that's happened at Houston is turnover recently at head coach, and it's tough to get anything built that way. You got to give the guy some time, or else he's going to do what Lovie Smith did and say, oh, I see the writing on the wall. You're going to fire me. How about I win this final game of the season by going for 2 and costing you the first round, the number 1 overall pick? Awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's their third head coach in 3 years.
Yeah.
That's not how it's supposed to be. So I'm interested to see what he can do, but seems like he's a bit of a rock star when it comes to the coaching community. So if he can't do it, oh boy, watch out, Houston. Okay, for my loser of the week, thought about going with Tom Brady, man. Did you see that video?
Yeah.
Retired, like he said, for good. I'm done. But I find it so hard to believe. He said he wouldn't change a thing, right? I can't imagine that's true. It was a rough year for Tom. He's the best quarterback of all time. I think a lot of people would say best football player with the incredible success he had. But he had the chance to just walk away after last season, right? Really, really solid effort from him in the playoffs. And everyone was like, hey, if that's it, man, what a way for Brady to go out, even though they weren't able to win the game. But this season was a disaster for that man. Divorce, football team wasn't very good. All that. Wouldn't change a thing. Really? Not one thing. You just walk away after winning the Super Bowl or walk away after last year when everyone was like, damn, Tom still got it. Like, I don't know, man. That video made me sad, though.
I totally agree. The guy had a chance to maybe pull off the greatest thing ever whenever he won that Super Bowl in Tampa. Like, to be able to walk off after that, having that quick run, going to winning a Super Bowl, then having maybe the greatest Super Bowl parade moment, avocado tequila, like right off into the sunset as the GOAT. Still is, but that would have been amazing.
Yeah. No, I don't feel bad for Tom Brady.
He'll be fine.
He's going to be just fine. Not worried about the guy.
I feel bad for anyone that felt like they were making the move up the ladder when it come to announcing NFL games, because he's going to be sliding into that number 1 spot.
I'm a little skeptical if he even does it. Do you think he's actually going to do it?
Well, I don't know. If any of the rumors are true about how much money he lost in that FTX deal, I think he may be doing it.
Fair. All right. Well,
but I don't know.
I think he'll be good. I hope he's just like brutally honest. And I will say, Greg Olsen,
he's great.
I don't think anyone's stock, in the broadcasting world, I don't think anyone's stock has risen more than Greg Olsen's this year.
Yeah. Romo melded in. You can't blame him. It's the same thing in broadcasting as it is in free agency. When you sign someone to a gigantic guaranteed contract, they just, for whatever reason, settle in, you
Get a
know,
little comfortable.
get
Just a little
comfortable.
comfortable. A little comfortable, Jim. For
That's good.
my loser of the week, though, I don't know if it's Thunder fans or the Oklahoma City Thunder. We got to figure out this Warriors thing, okay? I went to Thunder Warriors on Monday night. Now, Thunder fell down big early in that one. Warriors were shooting the hell out of the basketball, but Thunder battled all the way back, almost pulled it off. Steph Curry's amazing. He's unbelievable to watch in person. A casual 38 for Steph in the win. But something about when the Golden State Warriors come to town continues to baffle and confuse me, Ted. When the Golden State Warriors are playing in Oklahoma City, all of these Warriors fans show up. And I don't know who these people are. Who are the people living in Oklahoma that are Golden State Warriors fans? I don't understand. It's like they're decently loud too. And I get that they've been good for a decade. I understand that. And the league isn't, it feels like it's more about player rather than team now more than ever, especially for kids, like for young fans. But I'm seeing all these grown ass adults cheering for the Warriors. How does this happen? Who are these people? I don't understand.
Easy explanation.
Okay, help me out.
There's this natural phenomenon that takes place. And whenever you have something new that seemingly everyone loves, like the Thunder coming to Oklahoma City and having that quick run up, it forces a group of contrarians to go in the polar opposite direction. So as you have like a big run up, there's a group that is searching for, like, where can I fly my flag that shows to everyone that I am as anti this as I could possibly be, and it's Golden State. So that's how those fans get created.
I don't like it.
That's my theory on it.
I don't like it. And I'll say this. I had this conversation with my wife. Steph Curry, he's got to be, if you could just like organize NBA jersey sales by like age, he's got to be the most popular player among kids. I mean, I'm sure LeBron's in that conversation and Luka, but he's got to be the most popular when it comes to, let's say, 12 and under, right? Just an unbelievable amount of kids wearing Steph Curry jerseys at this game. But I'm never going to let my kids do that. Does that make me a bad parent? Like I told my wife, my sons are never, and I mean never, wearing an opposing player's jersey to a Thunder game. Ever. I ain't doing it. And if that makes me a bad dad, and if they want to cry, listen, I don't give a shit. These kids are going to learn loyalty. Like, no, you live in Oklahoma City. This is your team. You don't have another choice. It's going to be Oklahoma football and Oklahoma City Thunder basketball. And if you don't like it, I don't care. Deal with it. All of this, I'll let him wear a Steph jersey for this game. No. Hell no. That ain't happening.
When you're 18, you can move to another market if you want, right?
Yeah.
And then you could be in that market. But when
you're living in this city, under this roof, you're a Thunder fan. And you have no choice. Like,
you're not going to have to worry about the Curry thing, and I'll tell you why. Steph Curry he's the most relatable NBA basketball player of all time. And the reason is, like, forever, like, you're not going to be, you have no chance of being Shaq. Shaq's 7'2", 350 pounds of athlete the world has never seen. You're not going to be LeBron, 6'8", 270 pounds. You're not going to be those, but you could be Steph. He's not going to like, he doesn't tip the scales at some outlier size. He's small and he's gotten to where he is by skill development. Everyone can relate to that. Everyone can say, if I really put my best out there, I could possibly achieve something like that. That's why he's so relatable. Your son's going to be like 6'7" though, so like you don't have to worry about the Steph Curry thing.
I'm already like, son, watch Josh Giddey. You're probably going to be big and, decently athletic, but we're not talking like world-class athlete here.
Enough
so study
athleticism
Giddey.
to get you by.
Study Giddey. Watch the guy with the curly hair. Steph. Now, one thing I'll say about watching Steph in person, that dude is way faster and way quicker than he gets credit for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his change of direction, how sudden he moves, especially with the basketball in his hand. I don't think, because it's all about the shooting, right? But he gets way more open than he should, right? Because you got to imagine everybody's thinking, hey, run him off the line, don't let him shoot threes. And he still gets all of these open looks. It has a lot to do with the ball movement and everything, like the artistry of the Warriors offensive system. But that guy does not get enough credit for his quickness and athleticism.
He's exhausting to defend.
Oh my gosh.
You have to defend him the entire court or he'll hit a three on you from your side of the floor. And he runs, he's relentless without the ball moving and running through screens. And you're right.
I just realized
he's great.
I'm over here complaining about kids wearing Steph Curry jerseys, and I'm over here just, oh, he's awesome. He's incredible. I get how it sounds, people. I'm just telling you. You parent your kids the way you want. I'm fine. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your children. I'm just telling you. It ain't happening in the Eichert household. Dad, I want a Luka jersey. Tough shit, kid. You're getting your Shea jersey. Sorry. Deal with it. You're getting your Chet jersey. Your Giddey jersey. Deal with it. Just got people that I know are Thunder fans got their kids wearing Warriors jerseys, man. Like,
not right now they're wearing Warriors jerseys. In a couple of years, they're going to be chewing mouthpieces and having it hanging out of their mouth, looking like a idiot.
You hate that. You hate the mouthpiece thing.
Now,
before I tell this story, I want to acknowledge I am fully aware that this is not a very relatable story, but it was a cool dad moment, so I'm going to share it. So we took my son to the game. He was sitting on my lap, right? My wife was out of town, so it was like, hey, do I get the babysitter or do I bring him to the game? I was like, you know what? I'm bringing him to the game. If he's going to be one of the best shooters of all time, he's got to see the best shooter of all time. Like, you got to learn from the best to be the best, Ted. So Thunder are making that comeback. SGA hits a three right in front of us, like literally right in front of us. And I stand up and I've got my son in my arm and I'm celebrating and yelling. And he turns right around, looks my son dead in the eyes and winks at him. And my son got the biggest smile on his face. It was one of the coolest dad moments I've had so far. And I want to thank Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he didn't have to do that. And it was just one of those things where like, man, I know you're not going to remember this, but I'm going to be able to tell you the story someday. It was just, I don't know, man. It was really cool. I know it's not relatable, right? I get that, but it was still, it was a very cool dad moment for me.
That's really cool. That's awesome. You'll be able to see it somewhat on television forever and go back and see. That's really cool. I just wonder through the eyes of a very small child, if NBA players look like aliens because of how huge they are. And if you're right there, like, you know what I'm saying? It's got to be like, oh my God.
He just sits there and people are like, I can't believe how well behaved. He just like sits there and it's almost like he's studying. It's strange to watch.
Locked in on the game.
He's just locked in and he holds his hands like this. He almost like twiddles his thumbs. Like it's really weird. I'm just like, yes, observe, son, soak it all in. And then we'll go home and we'll get some shots up.
That's great.
Yeah, but I will say, pretty excited. SGA is going to be an all-star. Josh Giddey and Jalen Williams will be in the Rising Stars game. So there's some things to be excited about as a Thunder fan.
Coming.
So make sure you buy those jerseys. Not
And don't forget,
jerseys of the
soon, at some
opponent.
point next year, be adding Mike Holmgren's son to the mix.
Chet.
7-footer.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet. All right.